We need to calm things down a little bit. Culture and society has given us a purpose of making stuff and consuming stuff. And I love business. I'm a businessman from the tip of my toes to the top of my head. I love it. For a purpose in particular, we need to be able to close out distractions, close eyes, look within, and look at all the great things that, has happened to us in our life, and some of them not so great, and realize that everything has been put in there by someone else. Our teachers and our parents and our government and all this, but our profit is not a purpose.
Hello. Welcome to another knowledge bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. If this is your first time joining us, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell and hit that like button. This will be greatly appreciated in helping getting out this content to great leaders and great individuals like yourself. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Dr. Eric Holsapple. Dr. Eric has a PhD in economics, has been a real estate CEO and developer for nearly 40 years. He is the founder of Living in the Gap. His popular workshop teaches CEOs and professionals a different way to operate mindfully while improving the bottom line. Please help me welcome Dr. Eric with Mindful Leadership and Business.
This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
Having integrity is a huge thing when things are going bad, that people know that they can trust you. Your tenants and your bankers and even your employees and everybody. If people start to wonder, if you're just going to take the shortcut and run for the hills, protect yourself and not look out for everybody, I think that is a real sign during downturns that can really work against you. But if people know that, you're not going to, move money around and do, really funny things, they would rather have you run it than them run it, typically. So
Yes. Mindfulness combined with business. I want you to talk a little bit about your teachings on mindful business. What inspired you to begin this journey? Why? And when did business and all of it connected for you?
I would love to tell you it was sudden enlightenment, but it wasn't. It was a long journey. I was successful early in business. In my 20s, I was a president of a company and traveled all over the country for travel 50 weeks one year. I remember it was all over the place. But my health was terrible. I had no workout regime. I was stressed. I was having some pains that I wondered if it was my heart. And I stepped on a scale. I was 40 pounds overweight. And it just was an epiphany moment for me to go, something's got to change here. Something's got to change. So I started a new routine. I changed jobs. I started losing weight and getting in shape. And then I found yoga. And yoga put me in my body and started making me much more aware of what I was doing to myself, much more aware of my stress levels. Several years later, that led me, my older brother was meditating, to try meditation. And it was an instant for me. I started and never stopped. It was just, for me, it was an instant, So for years, I was what I'd call a closet meditator. I'd meditate at home and run in the office, do this or that, not mention it too much. But then one by one, we started building the company. And one by one, we hit a few downtimes. And we had one other person and then another. And then we started a little C group meeting that was voluntary, that people would come and we'd read a book and practice a little mindfulness. Before I knew it, the room was full and people were doing that. Not everybody was, doing meditation every day. And I don't even think that's the goal, but everybody was working on mindfulness. The management team revisited the vision statement, came up with mindfully creating community. And that really turned a switch and gave permission for people to think a little more broadly about the community. And I just saw people bloom. Their businesses took off, their stress levels, their families took off. They just were happier. We didn't have arguments. Of course you have disagreements. That's life. But everything doesn't have to be an argument. I mean, we can actually sit down and communicate and work things out. So I saw the results at our company, and then I left the university about 5 years ago and launched Living in the Gap, mindful leadership program. So I run people through a nine-month program in how to be more mindful, make it a habit, and actually integrate it into your business. My big idea is that it doesn't have to be just in the morning or at night, that mindfulness can be all day long. It's
Yes.
nothing that's contrary to business performance at all. And in fact, I found that it improves your efficiency, focus, business performance all the way around.
Wow. And Dr. Eric, I just want to kind of make sure the Lead to Greatness, the audience, including myself, we're all on the same page with you. So is self-aware and mindfulness, is this the same thing, or is there a slight difference?
Mindfulness is a big topic, but self-awareness is where it's all at. Starting to be, we're unconscious and habitual creatures. We do things. They find the science shows that like 95% of our activities or we're not actually meta-conscious of what we're doing.
Yes.
We're just doing the next thing.
Yes.
So that self-awareness is huge.
I want you to kind of explain to us just a little bit more what is mindfulness and how does it work and how does it fit into business? Well,
the first thing is that to realize that how unmindful our society has become, because I think back in the days when people spent a lot of time in nature, maybe it wasn't quite so necessary to focus on because it was more natural. But we have so many multitasking things going on, and what I've learned is that I can multitask really well, but I'm not aware of any of them. I can non-consciously drive the car, talk on the phone, play the radio, all of it. But mindfulness means let's maybe two things that we can do. And of course, there's other things going on non-consciously, but if I choose to focus on it, it's going to take something. And it's claiming my focus back. It's saying, okay, Facebook, Instagram, smartphone, advertising, whatever, game's on. I'm going to claim my focus back. I'm going to shut off some of my apps. I'm going to, take some off my phone and only do it on the computer and, those kind of things, and really try to claim some of my focus back. But I think really mindfulness to me in a word is focus. Can I focus on what I choose to focus on? And this is key, is know when I'm focused on it and realize when I'm not, because we're always going to go in and out. We're always going, we have some 6,000 thoughts a day. Just boom, there's constant manufacturing. So I'm always going to go out, but can I start to be aware that I'm not that machine? I'm a vast human being, I'm vast. And I notice those thoughts, and I can notice when I'm present, when I'm not. And when I'm not present, I choose to come back. The other thing I love about it for business is I call it the gift that keeps on giving, because people go home and they're still mindful. It makes their relationships better. They take it to the school board, or they take it to their church or whatnot. So I think business is the seed, the melting pot across all ideologies, races, religions, and everything that could really help us get through this little rough patch that we're in.
We all know. I think it's out in the opening now. The elephant is in the room. Everybody know about this. And this whole awareness, how social media and how technology is literally taking us, and it's sucking the life out of us. It's taking us away from who we supposed to be as humans. It's like taking a fish out of the water, or taking an eagle out of the sky, or taking a groundhog out of the ground. I mean, that's what technology is doing for us. Suicide rate for teens as high as it is, and all these different things. A big confusion, a big frustration with us as people is we're busy, but we're busy doing the wrong thing. And I believe purpose, or knowing our purpose, have a lot to do with that. So I want to ask you this question. Maybe you can, I want you to help us on this. How does someone find purpose in their lives?
Number one is we need to look within. We need to calm things down a little bit, right? Because if we're so distracted and all these flowing things, we just can't really focus. So we need to be able to focus. Culture and society has given us a purpose of making stuff and consuming stuff. And I love business. I really do. I'm a businessman from the tip of my toes to the top of my head. I love it. And even I think business is great because it can steal all our attention. It can do whatever we tell it to do. That's what we told it to do, and it's doing it.
All right.
But for purpose in particular, we need to be able to close out distractions, close eyes, look within, and look at all the great things that, has happened to us in our life, and some of them not so great, and realize that everything has been put in there by someone else. Our teachers and our parents and our government and all this, but our profit is not a purpose. It's not. My purpose is to be present, I have a longer term vision. I love business. I make goals of money and all those things, but my purpose is not to make money. My purpose is to have a great life and be present.
Yes.
Joy, peace, and happiness are in between the thoughts, are in silence and stillness.
Yeah.
Stress is in thoughts about, paying the bills, doing this, doing that, which you all got to do, but being hyper focused on those things is not helpful.
Yeah.
So I need to set that up, but I need to dive inside and actually know when I'm in the moment, when can I be here with you? Yes. Can I be here with my kids? Can I be here with a disgruntled employee or shareholder and not checking my phone or thinking about what I'm going to say every minute? Can I really listen to somebody? Yeah. To me, that's where the gift comes, and that's where relationships turn and communication turns, and we can turn this whole, country around if we just start listening to each other a little better. I call this an inner purpose and outer purposes. Okay. My inner purpose is who I am. Who I am when I'm with you, with anybody. I want to be present. I want to be a decent human being. And I find if I can be mindful and present, I'm usually pretty decent. Right. If I get caught up in my head and all that kind of stuff, I can be as big a jerk as anybody, but so I catch myself and try to clean that up. My outer purpose is what I do. I'm a real estate guy. Primarily a real estate developer. I build things. I love it. I love the creativity of it and all those things. But I've also found other things like a leadership program that I've been able to find. I can develop people and help them find their purpose and their meaning. So what I say is I want to bring who I am to what I do. We've become a society that brings what I do to who I am. I'm vice president of this, so I'm somebody. I just think that's not right. Because I think in essence, we're equal, regardless of your title or your position or everything. In essence, we're equal, man. Yeah. And I may have more money, I may have a bigger title, whatnot, but that doesn't, really matter. Yeah. What it matters is, who I am as a person, what I stand for. So I want to bring that presence to whatever it is I do. If I'm cleaning the toilet, if I'm president of the bank, if I'm on a podcast, whatever it is, can I be present and bring that? Yes. So to me, that's why I think the inner purpose is number one. And then I bring that to what I do. Now, I may find that what I do doesn't match anymore, that I ethically or whatever. So I may have to change, but I find most people find they can just show up a different way and find meaning in what they do. And in fact, they get better at it. Wow. Because it just turned into service. You just turn your job into a service and it becomes, you start to light up. Yes. By helping people.
I love it. You use the word service. How does service fit into the sound business strategy?
Oh man, let me tell you, service is the secret sauce. Because service, when I meet somebody through service, there's a trust that's formed. When I meet somebody, I'm on the Habitat for Humanity board, or if I'm on the food bank board, or the real estate at the university and helping kids find things. When you and I go to have a cup of coffee, we talk about it and you say, Eric, this is all great. What about, I got so-and-so in need. Could you help me with that? Absolutely. Why don't we have coffee after? Those kind of informal things are much better than cold calls. And you're out in community, you're making, I call it the procession effect. It's like things move at 90-degree angles. I make a cold call deal, you hang up on me. If I'm in making a service call for Habitat or something else, you get to know me in a different way. And you say, geez, what, if I was going to do business, I'd like to do business with him. And it just happens. If you don't go there for those reasons, but it just happens. So I think service, number one, it's the right thing to do. It's gratitude and action. It changes your mindset like that. Yes, absolutely. Plus it's people there are other givers serving. That's who I want to meet. Yeah. I want to meet other givers. So when I give, they give back. Yes. Yes. That's where they are. They're in service. Yes. And and we think that a lot of times we think that, once I make it, I'll serve. Yeah. And my experience is, you may give some money, but most of the time, if you haven't made that a minority, you're not going to do it. And you really miss out on the real joy in life. Yes. There's enough for all of us. There's enough for all of us. Yes. It really is. That's how capitalism works in my mind. Capitalism, I love capitalism, but it doesn't work if it's all me, mine, it's got to work through, I'm doing it, but I got enough for me and I'm a giving person. Let's figure out how to help this, plus I don't want to live in a community with a couple haves and everybody else have not. That's bad for business.
Yes.
Who am I going to sell to? Another way, and I don't feel protected. I think there's enough for everybody.
Yes.
And we'll be a lot happier if we go with that. And I'm a business guy, I'll make sure my mask is on. If the airplane's going down, my mask is on me. I'm not totally altruistic. I just think it's sound business.
Dr. Eric, those are a load of knowledge bombs. Wow, this is amazing. And I'm definitely excited and listening to you. And I'm hearing you. You're talking about real estate. You talked about business and leadership and teaching and about humanity. So even things as far as nonprofit. So I have this question for you, because obviously you have your hand in a lot of different pots and you're cooking and nothing is burning because everything is going good. Everything is successful. And how do you find time to run a business, to teach, to launch a nonprofit, and to raise your family all at the same time?
I tell you, it's prioritization. I play baseball. I have a little analogy with baseball. So I say home plate, before I get up to the plate, I need to make sure my work's done. I get myself in a mindset that whatever comes at me, the pitcher found his life. Whatever they pitch at me that day, I'm going to have the right mindset. So I do my mindfulness practice. I do myself. Everybody doesn't have to, but I do meditation. I do a little yoga, do my gratitudes, journaling, those kind of things. I get my mindset right. Number two is my family and friends are set for the day before I worry about work, because I can have the greatest job in the world. And if my family's a mess, I'm a mess. Also, I can't focus at work. If I've got, you go down the hall at work, everybody's on their Facebook, on their text and everything, checking on their family. I say, get your family set first. Make sure they have what they need for the day. Then go, that's first base. Make sure your family and friends are set, and then go to work and give work 110% when you're there. Give it everything you got. And then I say service work is third base. I don't want to go to service work if my family's not set or my job's not set. So I prioritize. I think there's time for service work. As you heard me, I think it's essential, but I'm not going to go to service work in lieu of my family obligations or my work. I might have to go to a meeting someday, and mix something, but generally I prioritize that. And I just figure I can do everything, but if I lose my job, I'm not very good to a service organization, or if I screw my job up. The money I make, the affluence I have is what makes me valuable in service. So I need to make sure I've got that set. So I say I play baseball, I prioritize it. And I think those prioritize reduce your stress, because you're sitting there going, well, what am I going to do? Work or my family? You're going to take care of your family. And if your job doesn't understand that, get another job. I say, because, family's important, man.
Yes.
That's why we do it.
Yes.
That's why we're doing what we do. Those relationships are what last.
Yes.
And there's other busy times, but I think prioritization and having your priorities right and your purpose right is the key to that day, to doing a lot of things.
Wow, that is a load of knowledge bombs. Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm excited. I know the Lead to Greatness community is excited, listening and enjoying your wisdom and your knowledge, the information that you're sharing with us on today. I want to shift over to leadership, because here on Lead to Greatness, we have leaders, that's leading organizations. We have entrepreneurs, starting up business startups. We have senior leadership that's listening, that's trying to figure out advice on how to better suit and better prepare their team to win. And, at the end of the day, we all want to win and we all want to reach our greatest potential. So what are some leadership growth tips, tools, advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us all reach our greatest potential?
Yeah, in our program, we have 12 pillars of mindful leadership. No, obviously is not time for that, but I could give you a couple of things.
Okay.
One we hit on earlier is purpose. I believe that leadership is born of purpose, that leaders are they're just natural. If you believe in what you're doing and have purpose, people rise up that you don't think might rise up.
Absolutely.
You know, rather than I'm a leader and give me any situation, I think it's more likely that when I have something I'm passionate about, you know, I'm going to step into the arena.
Yeah.
So that's number one, is make sure your purpose is done. I'd say for leaders, another thing I say to leaders to do to make sure they have time is ask the question of what can only I do? If you do too much, you can't be there for other people. You need to have a little space to be able to have your door open once in a while, that somebody can come in and say, you know what, this is bothering me. Or, you know what, why don't we try this? So I think it's also look at our calendars and see, you know, what things am I doing just to look busy? What things am I doing that I could easily delegate to free a little time up, to be a little more mindful and to be a little more present for the people around us. And then the last thing I would say to you, and there's already other, but just at the time we have, is be a listener. Instead of being someone that's always feel like you got to be the one that has the thing to say, the greatest gift you can give to somebody is listening to them.
Yes.
And they answer their own question 9 times out of 10. You know, they just get it off their chest, and you reflect it to them a little bit and come back. And so I would say that one skill of is listening is underrated. We think we need to know what to say.
Yes.
And we don't. Nobody knows what to say all the time. Just listen.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Another knowledge bomb. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. I have a little fun question for you.
Please.
Dr. Eric, if you can go back to your 18-year-old self into a time machine, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I would say to really work on presence. I mean, my 20s were lost, man. I was busy. I was successful, alone. I was not happy. I didn't do anything for anybody else, period. You know, until I met my wife and she settled me down, and I just took it and I said, I started helping other people, teaching and those kind of things. That's when my life got good. So I would say work on your presence and purpose, and don't worry. The other thing, you know, I taught at university for 20 years, and I can't tell you the seniors who can, you know, Kuma Sum Laude or whatever, they come in at the end of the thing and why are you here? And they go, well, I don't know. You know, mom and dad said engineering or business and they'd pay for it. Purpose is as you brought up early, purpose is underrated. Find out why you're doing what you're doing. If it means taking a semester or a year off or something, figure that out. Figure your presence out.
Yes.
And have some confidence. We're not starving to death.
Yeah.
You know, business people in this country aren't starving to death. We can make it. And if we have purpose and presence, we'll make it even better, and we'll make the world a better place along the way. So I would say work on presence.
That's another knowledge bomb. And this is amazing because I'm listening to you. And this one of the things, if I can go back and tell myself, it would be the same thing, because I think, especially early on, I remember when I was in my 20s, I spent so much time because before I knew purpose, I knew we need money, right? So I did everything to make money, and I spent all of my 20s, maybe 20s, mid-30s. I mean, just making money, and I did well as far as money wise, but I was so unfulfilled. And now that I'm older, and I remember the first time I gave, because I thought, I don't know, just something about getting stuff, and I got stuff. I felt good for about a day or two. But after a week is over with, it's back to normal. It's like I'm now hungry for something else, because I'm trying to feed something. And I kept trying to feed myself success through money. But then it clicked for me when I began to live, here we go, on purpose. And now my life, I was just talking to my wife. This is crazy. I was just talking to my wife about this today. I was driving home and I was on the phone with my wife, and I was telling her, I said, baby, it's crazy. I said, it's so much different now. I mean, having the funds, having the income, but not having the income so I can get a bigger house, or having the income so I can get, you know, the next greatest car, the next greatest fashion. It's like having income so I can do more. We have a nonprofit organization.
Make a bigger difference.
Yes, it's amazing. We have a nonprofit for the organization, Meet the Streets here in Houston. We feed the community 3 times a week. We feeding,
Awesome.
people less fortunate. We've been doing this since 2016, but we're doing 3 days a week right now. And it's just so much joy. It's so much joy to
That's
be
what it's about. I mean, what else is it about?
Listen,
You know?
Lead to Greatness. Listen, Dr. Eric and myself, I mean, there's 2 men that early on in our lives chasing money, and it's a big difference. And I wish if I could go back, I'd tell Cedric, I said, man, you know what? Yeah, you need money. Help people.
You do.
Help people. I think I would have had less stress in my 20s and 30s.
Totally.
If I would have done that.
See, people get success is a place to get. It's not. It's a mindset. It's an inside job. When you're confident is when you give. When you're unconfident and you're leery is when you figure I got to hold on to it. You know, when you really feel that you've got that mindset of success and abundance, you give it away. You know more's coming.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to give it all away, but
Absolutely.
you know.
Dr. Eric, you have to do this. I want you to speak because you and I both realized, okay, I don't want to call it a mistake because I learned from it, but I realized, man, if I could do it over again, I would have did it totally different. I would have spent more time with family. I would have did it totally different. So I learned that, and I'm listening to you. I mean, you learned that. I'm listening. We basically almost leaping off each other energy from, sharing the similar feeling and what we learned in life. I want you to speak to that 25-year-old, or maybe that 30-year-old, that 25 to 30-year-old, they're getting stressed out because they don't have the money. They're looking on social media and looking at fake successes, and they're living their lives to these things, and they're unhappy because of what they're seeing. I want you to speak to that individual.
So the ones that come to our mindfulness program, our mindful leadership program, often that's a large point of it. People that are successful, but they're just saying, I just don't have the meaning. I just don't, what am I doing this for? I'm just buying, making stuff and buying stuff. And, it's a treadmill. How do you get off this? And then you have kids and a mortgage. You're 50 when you wake up and you go, wow, what did I accomplish? Well, I made a bunch of stuff. I made some money and I spent a bunch of money. But it's relationships you get along the way.
Yes.
And those I find the ones from service and giving are the relationships that really stand up. There aren't from just, you make money with somebody that might be great. But I've found the ones that when you really do something for someone else, that's what matters. And I think it's the best business strategy because people want to work with you.
Yes.
When they see you're a giver, who do you want to call? You want to call somebody that, is trying to get from you, or you want to call somebody that makes you feel better?
Yes.
So be the one that makes somebody else feel better, and also relax. You don't have to do it by next Thursday. Relax. It's much better to do it. There's a different way to do it. Could take a little longer. So what? Do it the right way, make a bigger difference. Our country's in a mess, man.
Yes.
We need to slow down, talk to each other. If everybody made a little bit of difference, we'd turn this thing in no time.
Yes. Dr. Eric, I wish could have heard you or met you 15 years ago. It would have changed a lot of stuff for me early on. But thank you. I'm glad to have you on the Lead to Greatness podcast on today. The information that you just shared, life-changing information for someone that actually listened and just listen again and then listen again, because sometimes, if we have a certain mindset, you have to listen to it over and over again to condition your mindset, to condition those habits into changing to the person that you are designed to be. So Dr. Eric, thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for your passion that you are sharing with the world. If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
Livinginthegap.org is our website for our nonprofit, livinginthegap, spelled out.org. And also watch for a book that I've written. It's coming out, be it for sale on Amazon in the fourth quarter, called Profit with Presence.
Wow.
12 Pillars of Mindful Leadership that help you chart a course, hear from my experience and some others, and to help chart a course to make a bigger difference for yourself in your community, your family, for everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on Lead to Greatness podcast. Thank you for everything that you're doing now, everything that you're doing in the future, this book launch and getting the information out to the world to change the way we think, change the way we feel, change the way we living, breaking generational cycles. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Great show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And if this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.